Hello and welcome to the Herdline Podcast, hosted by Trace Johnson and the Herds Headset. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode where the Headset and Trace talk all things Marshall athletics. Be sure to follow us on X and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Now, sit back, relax, and let's talk the herd.
Welcome back to the Herdline Podcast. Trace with you as well as the Herds Headset. We got a very special guest on today. We've had one previous guest already on the podcast, but this time it's our first former athlete, former Marshall football player that was a very integral, easy for me to say, very integral part of the 2025 Herd last year with Coach Tony Gibson's first year. We are joined by Jayland Parker. Jayland, how's it going, man?
Everything's going good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. We're thrilled that you decided to come on here and join us. But we got a few questions we're going to talk to you about. I know we both kind of come up with some stuff. We had a lot of similar kind of questions and things like that. And we won't try to keep you too long, but we just kind of wanted to get your perspective on some things, especially with this new era of Marshall football. And like you're a very key part of that, you know, and like we'll talk about more of what Coach Gibson's doing right now for the Herd and all that kind of thing. Because I know people are very excited about what he's got going on. And last year we could see the potential of what he can do, what they could do in the future. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to the Headset. You can ask your first question, man.
Sure. So Jayland, man, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it so much. And thank you for everything you've done for Marshall. You know, you came at a time to which really our entire program was dismantled. You are Tony Gibson's literal first recruit that he ever recruited here. And so that's awesome. And so tell me a little bit about, the first season that, you had. I know that you had been under him before as he was at NC State, but as a head coach, Coach Gibson being a head coach, tell us a little bit about how that first season went and really some of those foundational moments that you guys laid that's kind of prepared the way for the teams to come in the future.
Yes, sir, definitely. Well, I think Coach Gibson did a great job of bringing a great group of seniors in. Guys that might not have played before, but still had good leadership skills. For instance, like guys like Ben Turner coming in, Jacoby Baldwin coming in, those guys being seniors and helping on the offensive side of the ball. Then you had guys like Kerryon Martin, Katron Evan, who was a senior last year for us, him being a senior there, Marvay, Boogie, guys like that. I feel like they did a great job of bringing guys with leadership roles in for sure. My first year with Coach Gibby as a head coach, it was everything I ever dreamed of and everything I ever wanted as a head coach. Being in his room before when he was a defensive coordinator, he always say things like, when I'm be a head coach, this is how I'm going to run my program and run my team. And just to see Coach Gibby fulfill his dreams and me being a part of it, it was just an honor to how everything played out for both of us, really. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was a great experience for me, and I'm just able to be a part of something special like Marshall to have my name a part of, really.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and you can just tell just by the way players and former players talk about him that like they just think the world of the guy. And I think that's very, very important, and it's that's gonna carry on, and it's gonna lead to great things for Marshall. Just having a guy that's that well respected and within the field, it's gonna be great.
Definitely.
But my first question would be talking a little bit about spring practice last year. What was your all's main focus, kind of team wise, last year heading into camp and stuff? And how do you think this year's team coming up will gel, considering how many of those teammates are coming back this year from last year's team, while also adding a few pieces here and there? So what do you think about all that?
Well, being able to go see the practice from I was actually talking to the strength coach, Coach Deej, about this while I was there. I was like, man, like where you guys are just a weekend to compare it to where we were a weekend, it looked like night and day, honestly. The speed of practice is different. Guys are more emphasized and locked into the details, because I feel like guys have had the experience and understand like, hey, we don't want to go 5-7. We want to go to bowl game, things like that. So I was actually proud to see the progress from a year ago with spring ball last year with this year. The pace was different. Everything looked clean. Everything was fast. It was more emphasizing, hey, you need to fix this right here instead of, hey, let me pull you to the side. I have to teach you a whole new playbook. So I feel like everything is different this year than it was last year for sure.
Yeah, that's encouraging. That's encouraging stuff to hear. Because, honestly, last year's team, me and Trace has talked about this a lot. 5-7 is not necessarily an ideal, win-loss record, but I mean, you guys were so close in so many of those ball games. I'm talking about 5 points, 6 points difference. I'm talking that's like 3 or 4 extra wins that could have been able to happen. So, just to know that they're getting a little bit better, that's encouraging news. So I appreciate you giving us a little bit of insight on that.
Yes, sir.
My next question for you, Jayland, is this: personally, what was some attractive qualities for Marshall? What made you want to come here whenever you were getting recruited? Because I know Marshall wasn't your only opportunity. I'm sure that there was other schools out there that was interested in you. So, and I know Coach Gibson, that's a big connection. But what are some qualities that you just found at Huntington that you really enjoyed and brought you here?
Well, I wanted to feel more like a home environment and where the town was really into football. Coming from a city like Raleigh, you have things like the Hurricanes. You have NC State women's basketball, who's always good each year. So I wanted to be somewhere where football was a main emphasis and a main focus. When I reached out to the fan base, that's what the fan base is really what caught my eye. Really, being that you guys interacted with me, reached out to me, people texting my mom, things like that, just wanting to get me to come to Marshall. That really meant a lot to me. And I still love Marshall. I tell people Marshall's like my second home. It gave me a second chance to revamp myself and revamp my football career. So it was just a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, you're always welcome to come back anytime. We love you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes. Definitely. So we kind of have alluded to it already about the team last year. We did go 5-7, lost. I mean, 6 really close games. I mean, it was the only game that we weren't in was Georgia. So every other game we were right there. Just had a couple misplays here and there. Being as you were in the locker room, you were in the trenches, you were on the front lines of all this, what, in your opinion, was kind of the thing that held the team back last year from really getting to where they could have gotten to?
I thought it was just guys really buying in to seeing that, hey, if you took the extra 15 minutes, if you took the extra 20 minutes to, hey, let's go watch film, we don't have to depend on coach. And that's when I could say, like, guys like Kenan Lewis, he knows things like that now, being that he was pretty much his first year truly playing. Seeing him be a great leader for the team this year on the defensive side of the ball. You got guys like Carlos. Pretty sure Carlos put in the extra work in now, being that he fully got a true season to show his capabilities. Now he's going into this year. So I feel like those things like that were what held us back and won't help hold this team back this year, because these guys, they've seen the experience now. They got the true experience. So I'm pretty sure guys want better now. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge deal, especially with last year kind of being a kind of just a season that we haven't had, that kind of off season that Marshall hasn't had in a long time, having to replace nearly the entire team, just kind of unprecedented there. It was kind of amazing how fast you all started gelling, to be honest, because of how, with how it was just so much up in the air, knew everything. And like the fact that you all were as close as you were in those games, I think really speaks volumes to the players that were there and how much they were all wanting it. And, I think that's going to pay off big time in the future.
Definitely.
Yep, no doubt. So my next question for you, Jayland, is this, and it's a personal one. I would like to kind of ask you kind of in 2 different forms. So, you only have 1 season here. I know it wasn't a lot of time, but give me your favorite memory on the field as a player, and then also give me your favorite memory, maybe something off the field of, just something that you really enjoyed.
Well, I would say, being at NC State for 5 years with Gibby, Coach Gibby knew that team bonding was a very, very important thing. So I would say, not many people know this, but during the summer of last summer, I lost my best friend. So it was a very hard time for me. But I could say that Coach Gibby had things for me to do with my teammates that kept me out of the house. So like going paintballing with the whole team, Coach Bartram inviting everybody to the team to Bible study and feeding us dinner, things like that for us to interact, especially in the time where I needed it the most. I would say that's my favorite off the field memory. My favorite on the field memory, I would say, oh man, it's a lot of them. Georgia State, honestly. Being a Georgia kid, not getting any interest from any Georgia school when I was in the portal. So I took that with very, 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 very passionate game for me. It It was my career high game before I went to App State and went for 15. So that game was probably my favorite. Just being home, being able for my family, people that I love to be able to see me play just meant a lot that day. So
Oh yeah, and hey, good game. I remember.
yes, sir,
That was some good
definitely.
stuff. That was awesome. Awesome.
Real good game. Yeah, real good game. Great to see, especially with anytime you're wearing those 75 helmets, like that Georgia State game. Man, it just means a little bit more. Yeah,
Yes,
that was
sir.
great
And you
performance.
don't realize it. And Coach Gibby and people around the town, they were telling us before the 75 week, and like it means a lot different. Like it might not feel like anything right now, but as you get
Yeah.
closer to it and into the game week, it really. And when you step out in the field with those 75 jerseys and those 75 helmets, the whole atmosphere and everything is different compared to any other game day. So I would say that as well too.
Yes, by far. It's just definitely a one of one kind of situation. No other school presents that kind of game day, that kind of environment that Marshall does. There's no doubt about it. And my next question would be, and I think Headset kind of alluded to it already a little bit. What plans do you have for the future, and can we expect to see you back at the Joan this season?
Definitely. God willing, I'm hoping that I get a call to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
If God has other plans for me, I plan on coaching. My goal was always to give back to the youth back home. Just like the guys gave back to me and poured into me, I want to pour back into my community, whichever way that is. So, I definitely will be back in the Joan. I was actually talking to one of my former teammates about which game should I come to, because I'm actually excited to come back and be a part of the fans and get the tailgate with you guys and things like that. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for those type of things.
It's awesome. And we know Marshall tailgating it's its own beast, and people are always willing to with open arms and offer you some food here, and that's just what Marshall fans do. Where that's just how it works around Huntington. So
Yeah.
you definitely be welcome back with open arms, no doubt about it.
Yes, sir.
But
Yeah. Hey,
go
I
ahead.
got one more question for you, Jayland.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So, if your football career never happened, what do you think that you would be doing right now? It's a little bit more fun, but what was something that I know that you were probably wanting to play football ever since you were little and different things, but if your life went a different direction, what do you think you'd be doing?
If I wasn't playing football, well, people really don't know this. I didn't start taking football to the 11th grade. Truly, I
Oh,
thought I was
wow.
I had the dreams of going to the NBA. But my freshman year, I realized when I played against like guys like Trayvon Walker, who was the first round draft pick in the NFL, played against him, played against Malik Herring in basketball. So just seeing those guys and being out of position, I was like, yeah, I'm done playing football. So I think I definitely took the right route. But yeah, my dreams was to really play basketball growing up. Always played on the AAU circuit and things like that. And then I just realized like football is really going to be the best route for me if I want to further this out. So
Yeah, definitely. And hey, like I said before, we appreciate everything that you've done for here at Marshall. Again, whenever you committed here, you had nobody. I mean, it's just you in in the locker room. It was crazy. And I remember, you were so transparent and trying to get other guys in here and messaging them and different things. And you would direct message a couple of us guys, say, hey, blow this guy up. Let him know that he needs to
right.
come to Marshall and different things. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you will always have a special place on all of our hearts here at Marshall, just because you embraced us. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you and all that you did for us this past season, and the love that you showed us. And I can't wait to see you again sometime at the gym. I'm looking forward to it. And I wish you luck. I hope you get a call here real soon that you get to go play in the league and continue to trace your dream, man. Congratulations on all your success. I appreciate you and your time. And man, it's just thank you for tuning in with us today. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for having me on. Y'all stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. We appreciate you, man. And I echo everything Headset just said, everything you said. But real quick, I wanted to ask just a really quick thing before we let you go here, because we kind of talked about this season coming up, and I want to. It's very early. It's months away, but I want to hear a record prediction for 2026 Marshall. What do you think they're going to do this year?
Well, I feel like Marshall's going to go 11-1. I really feel like we're going to go 11-1 this year. I really do feel that in my heart, honestly.
That would be phenomenal. We'd
Yeah,
be
I hope you're
absolutely
right.
stoked.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
We would be stoked on that one. But yeah, we really appreciate your time coming on here. And like I said, I echo everything Headset said a minute ago. I mean, we're very, very fortunate to have had you as Tony's first recruit, and just all the work you've put into the program and helping get it back on its feet. We really appreciate everything, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed day.
You too. Go Herb.
Go Herd.
Go Herd.
Collier trying to find some room to run, and he'll lose a few yards. Back to the 43-yard line. Jayland Parker snuffed that one out from the get-go, a loss of 2.
Yeah, take a look on the left side. Jayland Parker getting an opportunity to use his hands to get off the block and then bringing down the strong physical runner in Samari Collier. That was a great job.
But yeah, guys, we really appreciate Jayland Parker for coming on and talking to us. We're going to do this is almost like a part 2 of the episode of sorts. First part being the interview with him. Second part being we got quite a bit to talk about with certain Marshall athletics and updates and things like that. So there's a lot going on right now. Definitely led by the women's basketball team, which we will get to. But we're going to start with baseball. And boy, it was a big week, and we talked about it. And we said, you said it, that we're gonna find out how good we are this week when we play WVU and then Coastal 3 times. We're gonna find out how good. Well, we found out that we're not quite on that level yet. I mean, I think that's fair to say, but in my opinion, we found out that we're not as far away as some might think. That's my big takeaway, and we'll get more into that. 3-0 loss to WVU. That's one of the rare games this year where the bats haven't gotten going. And you got to give credit to WVU's pitching for that. I mean, that's no easy thing because Marshall puts up, I feel like Marshall probably averages close to 10 runs a game, if if not more than that. So that's really a big ask to keep them scoreless. So great performance there from their pitching staff, unfortunately. But 3-0 loss. And then the 3 games against Coastal, 11-9 loss in game 1, where we just got outdueled a little bit. I mean, we played well. Pitching was a little bit spotty, but I mean, we were close. We just didn't. We were just a couple little errors, or not really errors, but just a couple things away, a couple little aspects away from being able to win that game. Game 2 says it was a 12-4 blowout loss, but we led the majority of that game up until the last 2 or 3 innings. And then after that, it just fell off a cliff. I mean, we were up 4-0 and then ended it with 12 unanswered runs. I just don't know how that happens, but I mean, it is baseball. It's going to happen. Coastal Carolina is one of the most efficient teams I've ever seen, quite frankly. Just the stuff they can do, the little things that they can do, they always make it count. And we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. And then in game 3, a 5-4 loss in 10 innings to Coastal. Heartbreaker there. Jackson Halter hits a 2-run tying home run in the bottom of the 9th to extend the game. Just couldn't quite get over the hump there in the 10th inning. So Marshall has lost 5 in a row, unfortunately, dating back to that one game against Georgia Southern. They are 13-13 overall, 5-4 in the Sun Belt. Big game coming up against Ohio University tonight at the time of this recording. Battle for the Bell, baseball edition. And then April 2nd through 4th, we are on the road at App State for 3 games. So talk a little bit about those 4 games that we had talked about. We had gone on and on about them and what we could expect from them. And we just were a little bit short in most of those games. So talk a little bit about that and what stood out to you.
Yeah, so I went to the West Virginia game, and that was on the last Tuesday. And again, great atmosphere, lots of people there, as was expected. That's always going to be a fun one. And then I couldn't make it out to the weekend series with any of the Coastal games. However, I did watch them on TV. And I was telling somebody this the other day. We're just not there yet, like you said, to echo it. But with that being said, we're not far. To take this Marshall team where we were 3 or 4 years ago before Greg Beals began his tenure here to now seeing where we are, it is pretty amazing because understand that I think that Coastal and West Virginia respectfully are ranked 13th and 14th in the nation right now at the time of this recording. And so, there's no slouches that we saw at the Jack this last week. I mean, these are some of the best teams in the entire country. And the fact that there was no blowout loss. Now, I don't love the loss to West Virginia, as it was a one-hitter and different things. Bashes couldn't get going. But if it wasn't for the initial rocky start from pitching, the back end of the game was almost perfect. I mean, Not very many hits, no runs. And so the fact that you were able to keep a nationally ranked team to no runs for 6 innings, that's a pretty big achievement, especially on one of those weekday games where I thought the score would have been like 19-20. So there's that silver lining. Again, Coastal national champion runner-up. They're always fantastic. They never get swept in any series, it seems like. And so they are, again, they're just on that upper echelon of quality teams. But Marshall has quietly elevated themselves to a point where they are at the bare minimum competing with these teams. And so far this season, without, let's take out the rocky start, but they have won the games that they are supposed to win, and they have been competitive in games which they're not supposed to win. Right. And 3 years ago, that just wouldn't have been the case. Last year, for the majority of the season, I mean, you take away some big series down the line where they were able to, I think they beat Southern Miss, and I think they believe they beat Troy as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, they would win a game in those series and then lose to teams which they just shouldn't have lost to. So there's a lot to be encouraged about if you are a Marshall baseball fan. Was this last week ideal? Absolutely not. Losing 4 games is never something that you walk away from saying, oh, great, this is fantastic. But to see the growth and to see the development of the players and different things, like we said, we would not have been in these games a couple of seasons ago. It would have been an utter blowout. It's just how it is. But there has been so much improvement. Our guys are still improving as the weeks go on. Last week's, Marshall Thunder and Herd baseball team of 2026 is not the final product. And quite frankly, every single goal that this team has in front of it is still out there. I mean, making the Sun Belt Conference Championship, making noise in that, in that tournament. It's all right there in front of them. And although everything did not go according to plan last week, there's still a lot to be excited about. And I still believe that they're going to keep on getting better as the years go on. This is not a top 10 baseball team, but it sure is a whole lot better than it was even last year. I mean, this is a good team. We're going to win a lot of baseball games. And you never know. If they get hot at the right time, they could make a whole lot of noise in the conference tournament at the end of the season in Montgomery. So, it's exciting. I can't, express that enough. Even after losing 4 games straight, I'm not walking away defeated and discouraged. I'm walking away saying, you know what? I wish we could have taken at least one away, but at the bare minimum, we were competitive in every single one of those games, and we're improving as a program, and you can't ask for more than that.
Right. No, I'm with you 100%. And I tweeted it, and I really do believe that this is the case. The difference between Marshall now, like right now, and a team like Coastal is Coastal does all the little things right. They don't leave anything out there. If they need to throw down 2 or 3 successful bunts in a row, they're going to do it because I watched them do it. I mean, they just make all the little plays, and they don't let balls get, they don't let balls get loose behind the catcher. They don't have a lot of errors. They just don't make a lot of mistakes. And that's really, in my opinion, the pitching's not been great this year overall for the Herd. But the thing with me that stands out more than anything watching these games against a team like Coastal is the little things are what's hurting Marshall. Just those instances like balls getting away from the catcher, getting into the backstop, an error here or there. Just the little things like that or just those are what ultimately hurts you the most because you're playing a team that is very well seasoned, very good, very talented, and you cannot give them any extra help. You cannot give them an inch because if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, as the saying goes. So in my opinion, that's more what we need to work on more than anything. And I think that will, the more time that you're together as a team and the more reps and the more games you play, that comes with time. Like that kind of stuff comes with time. We're still not a finished product yet. Coastal's been a national powerhouse for a long time now. WVU, again, they've been really good too. We're not there yet. We're not at that finish line yet. So like we're still working out the kinks. And, despite being 13-13, I feel like we're a lot better than that. And I think that we'll start seeing a lot more results, now that we're not going to be playing, now that we're not playing Coastal for 3 games or WVU, which we'll play WVU again, but we'll start playing some different teams like your App State and Ohio coming up. I think you'll see better results, but we'll hope to see what they can do there.
But, and something too, the hardest portion of the schedule is behind us now. I mean, this last week was real tough. You had Louisville and Kentucky got rained out, different things, but still, ahead of us, truthfully, almost all of them are winnable. Troy was ranked at the start of the season. However, they're no longer ranked. They've had a really rough season overall. So, there's a lot of winnable games in the future for Marshall. So, that's exciting stuff.
No doubt. And another thing I was going to mention as well is, we got to get that location. We got to get that strike zone figured out a little bit more because walks hurt you, and especially against a team like Coastal. Again, if you walk 2 guys, that third guy comes up, hits out of the park, you're down 3 right there. You've given up 1 hit, you're down 3 runs. So it's like the little things. Again, that just goes back to that. The little things kill you. So hopefully we can get it figured out. But I think it'll be uphill. It's going to be optimistic moving forward. Put it that way. So we'll see what they do. So the next thing we were going to briefly talk about is a very exciting, very big home football series that just got announced. This has been in the works for a while. Even when we had Gerald Harrison on the podcast a month and a half ago, whenever that was, he kind of alluded to something like this is coming. So we kind of knew something was coming, but now it's officially official. The Herd and Western Kentucky are going to get back together for the Moonshine Throwdown. And I know we're both pumped about that. Absolutely pumped. It's going to be several years away, keep in mind, but we got a home. First game being September the 13th, 2031 at Western in Bowling Green. And then September 18th, 2032, it's at the Joan in Huntington. So very exciting to see this game back. They've been our best. They were our best modern within the last 15 years. They've been our best rival, I would say, in football. Not historically, obviously, Ohio and East Carolina and other teams like that stand out more, Miami of Ohio for that matter. But over the last recent 15 years or so, it's definitely been Western. The Moonshine Throwdown took off like nobody's business. It was a great rivalry. So what do you think about that series coming back and what Harrison's doing with scheduling?
Man, I'm pumped up. I'm excited. Of course, we had that episode not too long ago talking about schedules and dreams and different stuff that we've had. Yeah. And this is it. I mean, this is literally what we've been asking for, what we've been hoping for. No longer are we seeing those insignificant teams like, Central Michigan coming to the Joan. I mean, nobody really wants to see that. We want to see somebody that we have history with. If you're going to make one of those games where you're going to play a similar level team, MAC level team, bring in somebody that it's going to bring some excitement. And so, bringing in Western Kentucky and Toledo, both. I mean, I can't wait. We have one season, 2031. I do believe that's the year where we're going to have Toledo on the road, I think, and Western Kentucky at home. I may have that switched. I don't remember. But that's going to be a reality. And so we got both of them on the same schedule for a year. And that's just fun. That's games that I look forward to. I'm looking forward. I've never been to Bowling Green, and I've never watched a football game over there. So I'm making plans right now to head over there. And I've been to Toledo, but not for a Marshall game. So, I'm looking forward to that one as well. And those are dates that I've got circled on my own personal calendar and that I know a lot of other Marshall fans do as well. Bringing back the Moonshine Throwdown is a fantastic move. Like you mentioned, over the past decade or so, there's been no other team that's been a bigger rival to Marshall than Western Kentucky. It's just how it is. Fantastic games. They've broken our heart. We've broken theirs. It's been really an even matchup for the most part. Both teams have also seen some fantastic players in those games before. Rakeem Cato, Bailey Zappi, and a whole bunch of other guys that we could make mention of. So, this is it's going to be a fun game. And I truly hope that we get great crowds for both, because we've been asking for this, we've been longing for this, we've been suggesting this for many years, and now it's right here in front of us. So let's make sure that we do our part. Let's be there. I know that that's a long time away from now, and different things can happen and a lot can change. But if Marshall is still in a good position, team-wise, program-wise, heading in the right direction, there's no reason as to why we can't have, 28,000 people in the Jones. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And again, nobody playing on any roster right now probably will be a part of that game. So, I can't give you any speculation as far as numbers are concerned. I just hope Marshall finds a way to win both of them. But, it's going to be a great time. Excited for both of those rivalries being renewed for the future.
Absolutely. And just amazing work that they're doing as an athletic department and Gerald Harrison as the AD to get these games on the schedule, because, man, we've talked about it on here, I'm not going to say anything else about Christian Spears besides the fact that a lot of those games he scheduled were not very good. So, now we're starting to see better games pop up on the schedule again. And I said a while back when we were talking about scheduling, I talked about the Mike Hamrick regime being like the gold standard for scheduling for Marshall football, and it is still the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. And this is starting to resemble that. We're getting historical rivals. We're getting newer rivals that we've had, competitive teams. I mean, that's the thing. It's not just like two bottom feeders. Toledo's always one of the best teams in the MAC. Western's always one of the best teams in Conference USA. I mean, it is what it is. And, it's exciting to see this one back, especially for me, because, I literally talked about this rivalry for like 4 years in the past, like from 2018 to 2021. Like, that was what we were doing. We were plugging the living crap out of this rivalry between Marshall and Western, and we saw a lot of exciting games. I mean, we had 2 games in 67 to 66, and boy, they were huge, dramatic games. I mean, what kind of, that's just crazy still to think about. Like the football game that broke our hearts in 2014, and then the basketball game where we advanced to the NCAA tournament, 67-66. What are the odds of that? I mean, it was a special rivalry for a number of years there, and I'm glad to have it back on the schedule. It's going to have fans very excited to make the trips both ways, and it's just a good rivalry. Like we love to hate them, they love to hate us. It's just fun. Like that's what rivalries are about. So excited to see that game come back in the next few years for sure. So also wanted to briefly talk about, before we go on to the big story, I wanted to talk about the men's soccer team. College Spring League had another win, 1-0 win over Louisville. So there's 2 wins already in the young season, if you want to call them that. So they're off to the races. That's great to see. Looking forward to seeing what they can do this fall, but exciting to see that already play out a little bit for us. But so now we've been waiting to talk about this one till the end, because it's probably it is the story right now for Marshall Athletics. The women's NIT run has been sensational. Absolutely sensational. And we talked on the last episode. I said, I hope we can come on here and talk about 2 or 3 wins. Well, that's what we're doing. We're talking about 3 wins. So first game against UMBC, 66-53 win. It was a close game for the first 3 quarters or so. We kind of just took over there towards the end, which is another reoccurring theme we're going to talk about here in a second. And then the second game on the road at Youngstown State, a 25-win team, mind you, we absolutely smoked them. 72-46, dominant. I mean, that was dominant from start to finish. And I watched most of that game, and there was a really nice crowd there at Youngstown that people turned out. It was a road game for us. Beat them bad. So that was awesome to see. And then in the I don't remember, what do they call it? It's not the Elite 8. What do they call it?
The Grade 8.
The Grade 8. There you go. I could not remember it. The Grade 8 game that just happened against Army at home. Army, 26-win team. Boy, what a game. What an environment. What a crowd. It was phenomenal from start to – well, it was a close, really good game. Like, we kind of trailed the majority of the first 3 quarters. Army kind of kept us at arm's length there. It was kind of a 5. They kind of had a 5 to 7 point lead most of the first 3 quarters. but then like every time we would get close or take a 1-point lead or whatever, they'd hit a huge shot or they would go on a run or whatever. And that was the trend. And I'm thinking, oh no, not another game like this. But man, that fourth quarter, I've never seen a fourth quarter like that. I don't think. We outscore Army 20-0 in the fourth quarter, 0 points allowed in the fourth quarter, and ended the game going back to the end of the third quarter, ended the game on a 23-0 run. Herd wins 82-65. And now they got a huge task coming up on the road at Arkansas State next Wednesday. I believe that's a 7 p.m. tip-off. Could be off on that because of the central time zone or whatever. But regardless, it's, you know what I'm saying. So that's a huge game between two of the best teams in the Sun Belt from this year in the Fab 4 round. I do remember that, Fab 4. So that's going to be awesome if we can pull that one off. Could be hosting a championship game potentially. That would be amazing. A lot of people think we should be hosting this game coming up, but that's neither here nor there. So talk a little bit about this run that the women are on and just what they've been doing and how, I mean, this is rarefied air. We have not ever seen this from this program. I don't think we've ever seen a run this good from this program before.
No, and Trace, to be honest with you, I don't know what we're doing on the podcast. We need to be getting our picket signs and going to the administrative buildings and saying, let's extend Julie Folks, because I'm telling you, she's awesome. And we have been incredibly lucky as a university. The last two coaching decisions that we've made women's basketball wise have been probably the two best that I can ever recall. And so that's awesome news to kind of see, you know, what has been taking place. I really think that win for Marshall against Army is going to be a monumental moment for a couple of reasons. Of course, you know, it's always a big deal moving on the Fab Four and different stuff. That's great. But the bigger deal for me is for the fans that were there, right? We had a great crowd. I think around 2,400 people showed up to be able to root on the ladies there. And they had a great time. I'm just telling you right now. I mean, it was a good crowd. They were electric. They were loud. They were rowdy. And they had fun. And I think that really what Marshall fans are now beginning to learn and understand is that going to a girls' game can be almost as a good time as going to a men's game.
Yes.
And for years, there's just been a stigma all around the world almost that girls' basketball just isn't as exciting and as good. But I'm telling you, the last about 5 years or so, there has been a drastic elevation in the level of play and the level of attention that all girls basketball has received. And I think that Marshall now is beginning to understand and see these things too. So don't be surprised if you're finding out in the next year or so that we have larger crowds coming to girls basketball. You know, I think that our fan base was able to just kind of get a taste of what it could be on a week-to-week basis. And so that's exciting. That's good news. You know, every time that we are able to elevate a particular sport, I think that's a fantastic thing that we can do as a fan base overall. Because we already support football pretty good. We support basketball very well. We're supporting baseball very well. And now we are expanding our horizons further to softball. Of course, softball always does pretty good numbers. And now girls basketball, I do believe, is going to be in the same boat too. So that's great stuff. You know, I'm always for that. I think that's always a great decision to be able to make as far as a fan is concerned, to support as many of our student athletes as we possibly can. So I really think that win, and no matter what they do the rest of the way, but that home win that you can have in an NIT tournament, that's just big. That's a big thing to do. And that's an exciting thing that will bring a lot of just attention to your program. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where and how many fans are going to be averaging out for girls basketball next year as Julie Folks continues to just do her magic and really take this team to the next level.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And to your point, they are an extremely exciting team to watch. I mean, you just watch their style of play. It's fun. It is a very fun, up-tempo, exciting brand of basketball. And there's some really good players on this team. I mean, we got a lot of girls on that team that could probably play professionally at some level professionally. And there's no doubt in my mind. And, over the last few years, this program has really been on a really good upswing. Not even just the Kim Caldwell year, but they have been really on a roll. And I just looked that up. And, the last couple of years of Tony Kemper during his run, they were 15-13 and 17-14, which at that time for this program, that was pretty good because, they had been in a bit of a funk before that. And then after that, of course, the 26-win team with Kim Caldwell that got to the big dance, won the Sun Belt Championship and all that was sensational. And then year one of Julie Folk started out slow, but man, they caught on like gangbusters in that Sun Belt tournament. Ended up just still only 15-20, but you could tell that momentum had shifted big time. And then this year we're sitting at 26-9 with at least one more game, if not two more games to go. So this has been an amazing run for this program over the last few years. And it's just exciting to see. And you see those crowds increase and the numbers. And there's no reason that at this point, there's no reason they can't be the third or fourth highest generating program we got athletically. There's no reason that can't be. I mean, of course, football and men's basketball are going to be the top two. But after that, it's up for grabs. You got men's soccer probably at 3, I would say. And then after that, you could say baseball, you could say softball, you could say women's basketball. That's a good place to be where you got a lot of competitive programs. And the women's basketball team, I mean, I just looked at that crowd last night. Now, I don't remember what the number was, 2,300 or something like that. It seemed like there was more than that to me. I don't know. I mean, they're not going to undersell you, but it seemed like to me there was more than that. It was loud. It sounded really, really loud. And that whole lower bowl was pretty much filled for the most part. It was awesome to see. So we'll have to see where they go from here. But that would be, I mean, even if they don't win another game, which I think they could still win the last two, win the whole thing. But even if they don't, man, what a season we've had. Tied for the most wins in a single season in program history and still have at least one game to go, if not two, if we can beat Arkansas State. Yeah, we're going to be bidding hard for that championship game. I'll tell you that much. So that would be awesome to see. I mean, my goodness, if we can get the women's NIT championship final round game at the CAM, there's got to be 3,500, 4,000 people at that game. There's got to be. There's no way that there wouldn't be that many people, in my opinion. So that would be awesome to see. Absolutely awesome to see. Can't say enough good things about Julie Folks and what she's done. She took over a program that had a huge season, but they had lost some people and they had kind of had some issues trying to rebuild it. But man, she's got it rebuilt and they're doing excellent work right now. So very exciting to see. So unless you got anything else to add, man, I think we'll go ahead and close it out. And I might give a little teaser about, we got a kind of fun little series of podcasts we're going to talk about in the future. I might kind of give a little teaser on that, but unless you got anything else to add, that's pretty much it.
I'll just add this. Where the girls basketball program is right now, it reminds me very much of the first couple of years before our men's soccer team made a drastic leap into becoming an elite level. And I'm just seeing it kind of happen, and it's taking place little by little. So it's exciting stuff, and it's a good time to be a Marshall sports fan collectively because, I mean, we've got a lot of advantages in a lot of different places. So absolutely, it's good stuff. I'm excited.
I couldn't agree more. It's exciting times for sure to see our athletic department doing well overall for sure. But the thing I was going to mention before we get out of here is we both kind of thought of this, and we both kind of came up with this idea, thanks in large part to a little Twitter interaction the other day. We're going to start doing a few podcasts here and there. I don't know if it's all going to be consecutive or what it's going to be yet. It's just kind of going to be, we're just going to do it however we want to do it. But we're going to be doing a series of pods that kind of look back on some previous coaches that we've had. Where, football, it could be basketball, it could be whatever we want to do, whatever we feel like doing, quite frankly. And we're going to go kind of in depth on looking at these coaches and how they did for the Herd, because now a lot of times whenever coaches leave or coaches are fired or whatever the case is, you kind of just forget about them, and it's kind of just almost swept under the rug. But I think now when you look back several years in the past at what a coach did, you have better hindsight and better perspective on what they did. And that's kind of what we're here to do for this, is we're going to kind of try to be a little bit more, give a little more hindsight as to how somebody actually did And, because I mean, a lot of fans have great fond memories of a lot of these coaches and stuff. So it's going to be cool to see what we got up our sleeve for that. And the first episode will probably be next week, I would think. So very excited to see where that whole thing goes, because I love looking back on stuff and, just giving there's some good nostalgia there. There's some good nostalgic moments and things. And it's just going to be cool to see what fans think. So that's going to be coming up soon, but we're looking forward to it. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close it out today with a Go Herd, and let's hope the women's team can get that NIT championship. We'll see how they do, but go Herd.
Go Herd.